Welcome in everybody to ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown. Today on this, we got special episode, special guest on, Caleb Costner. He's made a big announcement yesterday for the late model series racing at Hickory Speedway. I'll let him talk about that in a second. But coming from law enforcement, going to full-time racing, pretty big deal, and even making his debut in ARCA this year. So, Caleb, welcome in, and just tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I touched on you started law enforcement, going into the whole racing thing full time. So just tell us a little bit about all that.
Yeah, sure. So I have a crazy background. Obviously, I did race before I ever got into law enforcement. I started racing when I was 12 years old. I had a passion for it. Kind of ran up through the ranks, raced dirt cars and 4-cylinders and legend cars, bandos, all that good stuff. You kind of would go through the ranks there when you're younger. Ran some late models and stuff, and then it got about 18 years old, and I really, like, right at the end of high school, I was like, okay, well, I don't have money, and I know that's what it takes to go racing, so this can't be my career. What am I going to do? So I started looking at different things, and I went on some ride-alongs, became an explorer with Gastonia PD. Did that for a couple of years, enjoyed it, and decided, hey, it's a safe career path. I get to drive fast and shoot guns. It's a plus. So I was like, well, let me go into this. So I did, and I was in it for almost a decade, and even through the beginnings of it, the middle of it, so here and there, I would I owned a car. I actually owned a crate late model probably the first couple of years in law enforcement. Finally got out, so you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna focus on my career. I'm gonna try to just there's too much going on, and racing takes so much commitment. And so I did away with it for probably 3 or 4 years, and it just came kind of calling back, and opportunities opened up, and kind of just started back out just purely for fun. My uncle had a car, and it was just a 4-cylinder car because, again, I didn't have money. We were doing it for fun. I had raced obviously up to late models in the past, so like the 4-cylinder thing was just for us to go have fun on the weekend. And I got hooked again. I was like, man, I'm enjoying this. And for the first time ever, I had a guy to kind of step up. A buddy of mine, his boss was like, hey, man, I want to sponsor you. And I was like, okay, cool. I've never had an actual sponsor before. And so that kind of snowballed and just started this whole deal. Helped me get I had never owned an enclosed trailer ever, in racing. And I was like, so even the 4-cylinder car, I just got me a 28-foot trailer. We still use it to this day. Or one of the trailers we use. And it was like just a moment where I'm like, wow, this is cool. And I thought, man, this has been about 4 years ago now, right? So, so I ended up moving to my hometown in Gaston County, worked that agency, and, it was a little more flexible on my schedule, and I was able to do some things locally. And one thing led to another, and some opportunities opened up. Sponsors kept coming on, which was weird, and ultimately led to getting us some other equipment. And I said, well, you know what? If I'm ever going to do this, I need to try and take that next step to asphalt and asphalt. It was always my dream, right? Everybody, it would be crazy. Most people in racing, right? You want to race in NASCAR. You want to reach that goal. And so, 4 years ago, I'm still like, yeah, right. I never, ever, ever anticipated on being where we're at today. And, the shop I've got built at that time, I was like, this is way overkill. Why did I build a shop this big? And as I sit here, I'm cramped between 4 cars.
Hey, that's a good problem to have.
It is a very good problem. I'm very thankful for that. But it's this crazy just how the story goes and how much has happened just in that span of time. So it's very humbling and amazing to think when you put your mind to something, what you can accomplish, and you have these dreams that they can come true. And so you just got to stay passionate about what you're actually passionate about, and I think that's where I look back and I kind of question things I did, through the years. The only reason I ever went law enforcement, again, I'm thankful for my time, serving, but our passion was always racing. And I give up essentially because I was like, all right, well, I've got a girlfriend I want to get engaged to, and I want to marry one day. I want to focus on these things, and I was like, well, this is a safe career path. I got insurance benefits. Let's go for it. I need to grow up. Well, and that's okay. Maybe, and who knows? I made a post recently. Who knows if things would have happened the way they happened, in my life. I'm very thankful for that. I learned a lot. Law enforcement was a very, very mentally draining, and there's things in my career. Obviously, I wish I could go back and do different. But they taught me things of what to do and what not to do, and now I'm applying those in my life. My daughter is now here. She's 10 months old. She's changed me and my wife's entire world. She got to be here for all of this and this journey and everything that we're doing. Like, it's just been amazing. And since I have taken a step, which has been about, it was right after my daughter was born, I went out on leave, and I had planned on, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I decided to go reserve, and ultimately I ended up walking away from it. Opportunities opened up, and I couldn't do everything, So, I'm very blessed with the opportunities being presented. I just you have to step out in faith, and when opportunities do present themselves, and I've been able to capitalize on that and just kind of, like I said, step out on that. And again, things have opened up, and we're going to keep pushing for it, man. This is crazy. So, it's just, that's why we're here. We're in Daytona a couple of weeks ago. My daughter, it was her first ever race being with us there in person, obviously. And taking her with me through driver intros was a special moment I'll never forget. And so it just, all of this has really changed, honestly, my mental health, making that switch of kind of just switching back to what I've always been passionate about. If anybody
get back to your roots, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
So let's get back. Let's dive into that Daytona. Like, what this completely different series than you're used to doing. Obviously you were working up and getting into late models a little bit, but then jumping to Daytona, that's a huge deal. So how did that come about to go and race an ARCA car down there in Daytona?
Sure. So, I actually, the ARCA said this. So Daytona wasn't my ARCA debut. It was my debut at Daytona, but I had raced a couple other races prior in this car, so in the ARCA series. So I was a little familiar with the cars and how they handled, and the power difference and a lot of those types of things. But Daytona, again, that's a whole different ball game no matter what car you go in. And so, fortunately, I had within the last couple of years raced at the road course, and so I felt a little bit confident just being on the track, feeling different things. Went down the test in January. We were able to figure out some things that I wanted to do during the race, get more comfortable, and ultimately we were able to take our car down there, and there were some things we needed to do. The journey to get to Daytona, like you kind of may mention, there was a lot to it. I raced. First started on the ARCA Series platform. I raced out the West Coast in 2021. We went to. It all started. I'd running late models that year. I'd switched over to asphalt late models and did some road course stuff at the early beginning of. I think it was 2020, oh goodness gracious, it was 2021, I guess. And all this is going through COVID, right? So I'm like, well, I'm trying to capitalize on racing and all this stuff during all this time was going on. And so the first part of that 2021 season, when we were leaving 2020, I was like, all right, we're going to switch over to asphalt. And from that kind of transitioned everything to that point. And then we ran some different stuff through the first and middle half of that year, late models. And then the opportunity presented itself in September, went outside a sponsor come up, and it was Thin Blue Wine Sellers, who were still partners.
I see that in the background right now. Yep.
They're still partners with me today. Yeah, sorry. I'm pointing the wrong way.
There you go.
But so they're great. They've been huge supporters and partners of mine from the start. Michelle, they stepped on board, and an opportunity presented itself. We went to Portland. So Portland was my first race.
Okay.
Yes, but we ended up, we went to second practice, and the team we were there with, Motor Blue. And that was the biggest letdown. We were there with the Indy cars, Max Pappas and Jimmy Johnson, where they were talking to me. And it was like a huge, hype moment, right? You waited your whole entire life, your career to do something like this. And I finally get an opportunity, and then I don't even get the race. So that one really hurt. It stung. And but an opportunity opened up with the same team in California a couple weeks later. We went and ran it. Went very well, considering it was our first start in those cars. And so, we did that. And then I actually had a team owner come up to me and say, hey, man, would you be interested in running Phoenix for us? And I said, sure. We worked out a deal. It was a very fair deal. So we worked out, got some sponsorship, ran it. Well, it was for that race that I met my partner in Costner Weaver Motorsports, Aaron Weaver, and he owns Innovative Tiny Houses. And so that really started the opportunity to really kind of thinking outside the box on where we wanted this to go. And this is kind of where the journey starts for Daytona. And we partnered up. We said, hey, listen, what's the best idea here? And so we talked about getting a car. Ultimately, we did. We got a car. We started putting things together. The deal kind of came together fast. We got a car at the end of January in 2022. So going into the 2022 season, we ended up getting a car. Well, in 2 weeks, we decided, well, we're going to make New Smyrna. Well, we went and we went to Buffalo, New York, picked up a car, brought it home. Now Aaron, he lives in Michigan, so me and my guys, it was purely volunteer friend group essentially, and we went to Buffalo, brought the car back home, and we just got to working, and somehow we put that car together. Probably shouldn't have went, but we did. And we were determined. We got together and we started the race and we made some laps. We had some overheating issues and we ultimately got 50 laps in. We had to pull it in. But we did. It was the fact though of taking what we did and build. Well, from that moment, me and Aaron both had children last year. It was our first each. And so there was a lot of priorities that we understood that we wanted to build this team, right? We can't race. We can't commit. It's very expensive. What can we do to grow this team in the meantime? Well, what we did is we started investing in equipment. Pit boxes, our gas cans, our all of the equipment needed for the shop and stuff that people have no idea that goes into it away from this car. That we can't just show up to the track. So those are things that this past year we built. So we didn't go to the track. So we sacrificed, maybe a race or two that we could have spent, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in, and we put it in equipment. So now we were thinking, all right, so opportunity opened itself up. We got an Ilmore towards the end of the year. These things just happen to happen. It's just like one door open and you got to step through it, man. You got to have faith. Exactly. It was kind of like this whole journey. And then finally November, opportunity come up. Greg Van Alst, great friend of mine, just won Daytona. Actually, that's his motor in our car we ended up getting from him. So, and so that was the motor. We brought it down, we got it, and we put this thing together. And we took everything we could, and we said, all right, let's go to Daytona. Let's try it. Let's go on the platform. Let's just give it everything we got. Yep. And sure enough, we did. We got there. We had a little bit of issues on Thursday and Friday, and with the motor, and we weren't sure. Just a lot of the gremlins we're having to figure out. It's a new motor, a new car, yeah. If people have no idea, right? I mean, this is a short track car. Like this car probably shouldn't even with the Daytona, right? But we're so small. We're the car along with the ARCA. We're the Mike Harmon of the Xfinity. So we're trying to take all the resources we do have and go. But fortunately, we were able to make the race. We got the issues fixed. We had a bad coil pack, essentially, so we were down a cylinder, hence why we were so off on our time with qualifying and stuff. We got it fixed. The draft was a great equalizer. We were able to get all the way up to 15th, which was I was up there running with the 18 car and Muniz and everybody else. We were going back and forth. We were 3 wide times. And, I mean, there's no way to describe, how that feels. It's unreal. Obviously, it's nothing I ever felt before. So,
during the race, did you even realize kind of who you were dicing it up with, or was it something when you got done with the race, you're like, man, this is what I just did?
Yeah. So honestly, it was under caution where these things would catch me, and I'm like, my spotter was Doug Campbell. Doug Campbell was Austin Cindric's Cup spotter, and they just won 500, year before, and so he was calling it, man. In those races, I mean, they call it. And so I was listening to everything he had to say. I was learning literally as we went. I had yet to still even draft in the test or even my practice qual because of issues and stuff like that. So my first real drafting experience was in the race. Yeah. And of all races, I guess this year ARCA wanted to say, hey, let's race. It was like not follow the leader, and we were 2 and 3 wide. We were really the pack was a pack drafted, and so.
And I think you saw that with all the series down there too. I mean, it was just 2-3 wide the whole dang race. So I mean, everybody wanted to get a little racy with it.
Yeah, they did. And so it was crazy. Like I said, kind of called under the cautions is where I'd kind of like, wow, this is really happening. This is crazy. But it's just amazing how I learned something every single lap. I think that was the biggest thing I took away is that, and people say, well, seat times, everything. It really is. Like you can't. And that's why I'm so excited about in the announcement you were talking about that we announced yesterday was that I'm going to run. Yep. So big deal is one of our sponsors that stepped up for, as you can see, Lickety Loos. They come on board for Daytona. They run our hood. They also just come back on for our entire season of Carolina Pro Late Model Series. So this is the first season I've gotten to run in, I don't know, probably close to a decade that I'm actually getting to go out, compete, and run for a championship. We're going to run every race, 12 races on the schedule. I believe it's going to be on Pit Road Media and Flow, certain races, but for sure Pit Road Media every race. I think they're going to make that announcement today. But we're excited.
Flow did announce it's going to be all on Flow this year as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I was reading something online earlier today, which is pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And so that'd be a huge thing for us, our sponsor, all of our other partners, and the opportunity again, like I said, to just we want to help. That's what this is about. When you have people want to step up, believe in you, we want to bring. We even shot a commercial the other week before we went to Daytona. Like we want to bring awareness to our brands. It's about them. Cool. I'm getting an opportunity to sit behind the wheel, but I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them. So I'm really blessed, thankful, and fortunate that someone's willing to believe in me. And so now that I finally got this opportunity, it's time to go and get the job done. So many times I kind of like kind of stepping around my tiptoes, like I can't really race, can't really do this and that. This year we're gonna go for it. So I'm excited. That was huge. And also we're going to get to run some more races this year in ARCA. If we don't get to make Daytona, Talladega, we're really trying to shoot for a sponsor for that race. If we don't make it, we are 100% sure racing at Charlotte. So I'm really excited about that. I get Daytona was a dream, right? You're like, man, everybody's racing on Daytona. But now when we bring it to our own hometown where I'm from, born, raised.
That's a huge deal.
It's going to be a big deal.
What is an hour and a half to get to the speedway from you? Hour and a half. It's not that big of a deal. It's a lot, and then it's right down the road. Everybody's going to be there.
Yeah.
And that's and I've heard it from drivers that are from here. It's pretty special. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So for those who don't really know, just real quick, if what have you seen as the main difference between driving a late model and then jumping into the ARCA car? Obviously Daytona, that's completely different. Let's not worry about that, but the kind of the driving style itself with late model and ARCA, I'm surely that's got to be completely different.
Yeah. So the late models are you drive them so much harder, and there's a little more to me. Like there's feedback, right? With me racing so many years on dirt, like I like a loose car. I like a car that's like I can do what I want it to do. So when I essentially, I was so used on dirt, right? When you're shifting the wheel and you have to you sit it, you set it where you want to sit it. You try to put on the cushions, those things like that. Whereas these late models or the pros that I currently run, it is a constant battle of you got to drive it in there hard and make it, push it where you want to push it. And with the ARCA car, they're so heavy. So that's the difference. There's so much weight difference in that car and this car. Obviously there's a power difference. So whereas maybe the late model, it's lighter. And so I can drive it in harder and I can kind of do what I want to. Well, when you have more horsepower and more weight, therefore there's a lot more of a rolling on, rolling off, braking kind of the throttle of you've got to make, essentially when you go into a corner, you're not going to brake and expect that car to turn. It's not going to, a 3,400-pound car is not going to just stop it when you want to stop it. You've got to essentially think for it. That's what you're doing. And I came to a hard reality, right? And then again, it's my experience on asphalt has been pretty quick. When I ran a couple late model races, then we went to Roseville on ARCA. I was like, my God, this car doesn't want to turn. Because Roseville's like the little, one of the smallest tracks out there is that ARCA does run. And so I went with one of the heaviest cars, a full-size stock car, heavy car, to thinking that it was going to handle like the late model, and no, it did not. And it took me quite a few laps to figure that out. That, hey, you got to let this thing roll through the corner. You can't just stop it. Like, dude, you got to get off the brake, and because, essentially that's how you make these cars handle. And so, yeah, it was a learning curve, and I feel like I'm getting a lot better at that. And again, that's why everything has happened. I'm very blessed in the timing that it has, because I've learned so many things over the last, like 2 years with running these cars and the late models and ARCA and stuff like that. So now, taking what I've learned and being behind the wheel, I'm getting this year, I'm really going to get to apply that, hopefully, long-term and more of a steady situation, that when we do have good races, because I felt like even like last year, we had a race or two where we were, I had the opportunity to race in Hickory. We had a fast car. We were in good track position. We had a tire blow, or we had I think we had a track bar mount break last year is what it was. And I'm like, really? A track bar mount? Like,
it just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. And so I was like, and then you're thinking, well, that's your one race to really kind of make something of it. Well, now we got a season. So when we have a bad race here and there, it is what it is. We'll pick our heads up. We'll go to the next one. But we're focusing on long-term this year on a championship. And it's hard to believe me saying it, because, I've never got to really say that, especially at this kind of level. And even for me, again, we're going to do everything we can to get this car on track and do as many races as we can. With new partners, maybe we do that next year, if that's cool. But in the meantime, I'm running for a championship in the late model this year, and super excited about that. And we'll keep growing, keep getting partners on board. So, yeah, we're excited.
Well, real quick, for those listening that didn't actually get to see who your sponsor is on there, give a quick shout out to your main sponsor that came on for this year for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So here, hold on one second. We'll get it right here. I got.
Oh man, here we go. I'm grabbing something.
So I've always got it on standby.
Look at this.
We've got
there it is.
Loose Spicy. We've got
so this is Lickety Loo. So is it? I'm guessing like a barbecue sauce.
It's an all-purpose barbecue ketchup, kind of like just put it on anything. I mean, I'm telling you, like, whether it be hamburgers, hot dogs, pizza, dude, I've dipped this thing. I mean, I'm telling you, it's one thing, right, to have, I got to plug a sponsor. It's one thing when this crap is so good that you're like, man, I mean,
how about that shout out? Look at
that. The commercial that we had, we actually drank this out of the bottle.
I did watch that. And I would say it was mainly just for a commercial, but I wouldn't put it past me after I have a few cold ones in me to have actually down that. So don't worry about that. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. So I'm guessing it's like a local company down in this area.
Yeah. So the really cool thing about this is too, he happens to be local, right? Now it's a national brand. He said he's shipped almost to every state in America already. But it's Lickety Loo. You get licketyloos.com, but he's out of Kings Mountain. That's where he's based out of. So it's really cool to have a local company. Now we can put them on a national scale, and it's just crazy that we're only 20, 30 minutes from each other, but we're able to come together and really take both of our brands and put them out on a national scale. So really cool, really fortunate. And I'm telling you, the stuff's good. We've got even mini bottles now of it, so we're gonna be giving it out at the track.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to grab me some of that stuff. I definitely like putting all that type of stuff on my food. So
absolutely, man, absolutely.
Well, listen, man. We all wish you the very best. This is awesome. Good luck this year. Hopefully get that championship. I'll try to make it out some of those races too, and. So you're gonna have to do well if I go there too. So
hey.
But yeah. It's awesome, man. It's awesome seeing somebody just follow their passion, and for your daughter, she's gonna be growing up in a racing family, and that's what I grew up in a racing family too. There's gonna be a lot of awesome memories for her. So she might not remember anything right now, but trust me, it's gonna be awesome. So that's definitely cool to see, and definitely have that still small town shop feel that you guys have, a small town team, and I always respect that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, wish you guys the very best. Appreciate you hopping on.
Thanks,
and get back to work. Try to get this checker flag on Saturday.
Appreciate it. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Thank you guys for having me. Looking forward to the rest of the season, and hopefully we can make everybody proud. So all
right, buddy. Caleb Costner.
All right, guys.
big shout out to Caleb and that entire team for coming on and just chatting about racing and looking forward to the season. The Carolina late model series that he's in. I just wanted to give a quick overview. He's starting off March 4th at Hickory Motor Speedway. Then they go to Dillon Motor Speedway April 1st, Orange County Speedway April 29th, June 2nd and 3rd, Goodyear All-American Speedway on the 2nd, Carteret County Speedway on June 3rd. Both those races are $10,000 purse and double points. That's a big race for them there. Franklin County Speedway is July 1st for the July 4th weekend. Tri-County Speedway is July 15th. Hickory Motor Speedway comes back on August 5th. Then they go to Anderson Motor Speedway August 19th. September 2nd is Hickory Motor Speedway again. Goes to Orange County Speedway September 16th, and then they end November 11th. Big jump there, but possibly the championship race at Hickory Motor Speedway. So if you haven't yet, follow Carolina Late Models. Look for my guy, Caleb. Caleb Costner drives the 93 Chevrolet in those series. Big shout out to his sponsor, Lickety Lose, for coming on this year. A lot of big things are expected from him. He's going to race part-time in ARCA. He'll make those announcements as well. Follow him on all social media platforms. Follow his race team, the Costner Weaver Motorsports, and just tune into Flow Racing for a bunch of his races. So, till next time, guys, we'll see you later.